Bounce in the sunshine. It floats towards the shade. White thumps it down towards half forward. Bate comes up, lays it off to Jones. Jones inside the attacking 50. Johnson
started in the goal square, replacing David Neitz.
He's about 40 metres out. Will kick from just inside the 50. This will be a nice start for Johnson and Mark Riley. Kicks from just outside the 50. It's bending back. It's working back over the umpire's hat.
He's been given a bit of responsibility in recent times, Paul Johnson. He's been on the list for a while, started the West Coast Eagles, was a fine junior player. I think they've decided that, they decided under Neil Danaher that they were actually going to see whether or not this bloke can play. And he is a forward. He can lead. He can draw the ball. He's a very good kick too for a big man. And Matthew Bate, this is a good knock by White just to clear the immediate space. And it was Bate that pushed up. And that's what he does particularly well. Matty Bate pushes hard to the ball. He's been picked up by young Gibbs. So
venture to say his Tiff are out to score. He would love to get onto one and make amends. Play on's the call, so impossible now. Just sets it up. Working in front down there was Newton, and it's going to be a free kick. It's going against Hartlett.
Over his shoulder. I hit the ball. Yeah, you did hit the ball. It came straight over his shoulder.
So Newton impressed us last week.
Yeah, no, fair enough ball, but it went straight over his shoulder.
there you go.
Yeah.
I actually sat and watched one of the games yesterday with my wife, and she turned to me at one stage and she said, "Wouldn't you love to play as a forward in modern day football?"
So Newton, important kick this one. Melbourne trailing by 6. Now scores a level.
Tim, Susie wasn't getting sick of you at home and suggesting something, was she? A comeback.
No, she wasn't. She just it was just an observation, and I think she's spot on too. The balance has definitely swung back towards the forwards in our game. Just watch this closely again. There's Hartlett just trying to claim him late, and
would have been a really difficult weekend for the Davies, with his brother very badly injured on the first big injury he's had in his career on Friday night. It's something that, you know, certainly would be worrying the family. And now Jones away, and then through the centre square. Let's see if Robbo gets involved here. That was a bit better. Newton got it from Brown, and Newton's kick is a good one. And so is he, I reckon. He's kicked 2.
he's a really likely looking player, isn't he, Newton? We see the new coach here looking pretty relaxed. Jones, good running off half-back. It was a long kick to that really dangerous spot about 25 metres out from the top of the goal square, and there was a contest. Robertson almost got his... Look at Robbo fly there, and that was the contest they needed. Then they had the players there at ground level. You see there, quick hands.
Rucks go at it, falls behind, socket forward by Dunn. Bentic knocked away by Dunn. Walker slips it to Carazzo. Took a while to release the football, holding it.
That's better.
So Melbourne with a chance to lead at quarter time. Nathan Brown to take the free. He's about 60 metres out. Spots a lead, finds Bate.
Well, that's why they've pushed Brown forward. We see Gibbs there just trying to get his legs moving again, because he is good at winning the ball. He's a hard nut. He loves to get in there and contest. See Carazzo and Jones just shaping up. I don't know why players even bother doing that, Dennis.
In comes Bate, and he kicks truly. Straight through the middle.
Coming into this game, kicked 12 goals, Bate. I like the way that he plays. He's a real lead-up type ball. He draws the ball. He's got wonderful hands. He looks untidy when he kicks, but he's kicked 12-3 coming into this game, so he is an accurate kick. And that's why they've played Brown in the forward line, because he can win the ball at ground level.
On this ground against Melbourne, run 16, 1981, maybe the most. So Carazzo is on pace to challenge that at this early stage. But of course, we saw Thompson last night with a lot of possessions and fell off the pace. Wheatley making the pace, putting Melbourne back in front. Lovely kick.
Well, that was a fabulous answer there by Wheatley too, and Melbourne have been waiting a long time for this young player to develop. He picked the ball up. Just watch this. He showed great dexterity here to pick the ball up. He's a tall kid and then got straight on his bike. Good athleticism and good finish too. He's had a lot of trouble over the journey with hamstrings, and he'll be one player that they'll be looking at very closely in the latter part of this season, I'd expect.
That is terrible luck for the 18-year-old who's made such an impression in his first season. So we wish him well. Godfrey got it from McDonald, and that's a terrific kick to Bate. Now, Bate's a chance. He's 50 out, but he's a long, long kick. It's right there. Oh, Davey read it well, and now gets a second chance. Left foot, hooks it back. Don't tell me. Extraordinary. It is Davey.
Well, that defies physics. On his left foot towards the boundary. He almost got the first crumb when it came into the goal square. He pounced, but he just couldn't quite gather the ball. Just watch this one. Here he is there. He's in the right position. The ball just bobbled away, and then he was quick enough, and that is just an extraordinary snap running towards the boundary line.
Here's Carroll on the outer side, going down towards half forward, and Sylvia stretching, takes the mark. He's 60 metres out, wheels around, down towards full forward. Robbo takes the mark. His pride has been pricked. 15 metres out, directly in front. That's the first time he's troubled the statistician this afternoon. When it comes to kicks and marks and hand passes, it was 0-0-0 until then. Sounded like the 3-day forecast in Siberia. In he comes and he kicks the goal.
That's his first kick of the afternoon. That's his first mark. They got the ball in there quickly, and a bit of a worrying sign there too for Carlton. Scotland was way behind. As we see Carroll here kicking the ball to Sylvia, Scotland just struggling to get there. Bate was leading his direct opponent, bound to the ball there too. So there's two good marking targets for the Demons. They're good mobile players playing up around half forward. Thornton just losing Robbo.
And produced 4 goals, 3 for Melbourne and 1 for Carlton. We've only had 11 kicks in the space of 4 goals. So Chris Johnson back to Sylvia. I think he's impressed him. Good kick inside to Newton.
Well, that was Melbourne's future. Dunn picked up the ball, handballed it to Sylvia, and then on to Newton.
And that ratio could be improved right here, Bruce.
Absolutely, and Newton's been a good kick for goal so far in the couple of games we've seen him. He had a big debut, didn't he, last Friday night in Neil Danaher's. So he changes coaches as quickly as he changes other things. 2 games, 2 coaches. So Newton from 50, it's coming back. He's got 3. If I keep up lines like that, you're going to use me as a scriptwriter eventually, aren't you?
Well, I'm thinking about Nick Revolt. Remember, we pulled that one out when we needed stuff. He had 5 coaches in 5 games.
Good tap there by White. Beautiful ball won by Dunn. And there was Buckley onto Johnson, onto Sylvia, onto Newton. I mean, they're all the young players of the Melbourne Football Club. That's their future on display there. And people think there's nothing to play for. There's plenty to play for in the.
So Carlton have kicked 4-2 to 3 points after Melbourne led by 21 points in this quarter. But Bate at 55 goes for goal. Won't be a goal. Well, yes, it will. It is. Gee, that's sloppy at the back, isn't it?
Well, it's sloppy. I know I've been banging on about this all afternoon, but Bate actually pushes to the ball. He is a lead-up player. If you're going to play on him, you don't just sag off the back believing that he's not going to get the ball. He pushes hard to the ball and he wins the ball. He's kicked 2 goals this afternoon. They've tried a number of players on him, Colin, but still they haven't been able to get the right bloke with the right levels of concentration.
To be taken by Scotland. Oh, that's dangerous. Almost the mark. Gliding in, ghosting in front of Kutafini was White. Now getting through as Wheatley. Gets a hand pass away. The kick from White. Marked by Robertson 10 metres out.
Well, we often see this in modern day football, don't we, at the zone. And all the Carlton players moved into attacking offensive positions. We see Cooter just throwing the leg out there at Wheatley. And when White kicked this ball, there were 3 Demon players who were on their own within 20 metres of goal.
Robertson, only his second kick of the afternoon, his second goal.
Well, because it is Heritage Round, we can talk about the good old days, and it was always referred to as the premiership quarter, the third quarter of football, and that is players can go to sleep at half-time mentally, and I think it's a critical stage of the game, the first 5 minutes after half-time, to see which side is actually on their game, which side has prepared mentally correctly at the half-time break. That's a good goal for Melbourne. Still a very even contest.
Well, Greg was wide-eyed with all of that. He was watching that. He was spectating. There goes the short one from Robertson. That was a compromise kick between about 3 of his teammates. Brown gives it off. Backing away from a would-be tackle there was White. Comes to Ward. Oh, great evasion. Daniel Ward lines up and kicks a goal.
Well, he's one of their best defensive runners, Daniel Ward. Rebounds the ball particularly well. Here's the incident there with Wade, and also Buckley just crashed straight into him. The umpire said that he got him too high, put up his bumper bars. And here's Brown, who's done some terrific work inside the attacking 50. White, that was the clever handball over the top, and Ward smart enough to go around and just steady. And he's made his way all the way back to the defensive position where he picks up Eddie Betts.
62-70 Melbourne. So Halpin in the ruck. McLean. White got it down to him. Kicks to about 60. Simpson did very well there. But Sylvia read it best and then put Wheatley under the pump with the handball to Robertson. And Robbo's going to love this one. It was in the third quarter last week, Tim, that he really exploded against Essendon when he kicked 3 goals in that term, and he's already got a couple here. In fact, he's only had 4 kicks and kicked 3 goals.
Yes, he's just starting to get a little bit of space inside that 50. Sylvia, again, we've seen him play on a number of occasions this year. He was actually recruited as a midfielder, and he must not have the engine yet because he hasn't been pushed into the midfield very often. But I love the way he actually attacks the ball. Ricky Orenshaw made a good point about Aaron Davey too, about the fact that he's having trouble getting his hand on the ball. If he pushes up the ground, he can do some real damage running the ball off half-back as well.
Bizzle gave it to Carroll. Oh! McDonald flies over the top of Bentic, then pushes off, starts running, gives the ball to Jones. Jones, dangerous kick. Johnson is coming in front. The mark is taken by Robbo. Russell Robertson, 20 metres out. That was a good grab.
That is a great fly there by McDonald. We don't see him do that very often, but it was the fact that he was able to play on so quickly that put the Carlton defence under so much pressure too.
Well done by Paul Johnson, just shielding his man momentarily. That's all it took for the ball to find Russell Robertson. 4th goal, a mere formality.
Some real danger signs here now for Carlton. They've been on the end of some heavy losses over the last 2 matches, and maybe that starts to play on the mind of the players. They need to tighten up and actually start to win some of these in contest. They allowed the Melbourne side then just to play on too quickly. We see Robbo. Johnson got in the way there first, and that was Sylvia that almost protected the ball, but
Kicks it very high in the air. The only man who really had eyes for the football, oblivious to everything else, was Brown. Plays on quickly. Chris Johnson. Short passes. Dunn. 55 metres out. Heads for home. That's a long kick. It's a beauty.
That's the difference, isn't it? Just taking the opportunities and nailing the goals. How he got free again then, Lynden Dunn, he just had plenty of space. And I think that's the part of Carlton's game that probably frustrates Dennis Pagan the most, is the players not able to concentrate for the full duration of a quarter of football, let alone a game of football. They just lose concentration at critical times.
Little shove from Thornton. And then Thornton's kick. Oh! chopped off by Godfrey, who's going to get a gift goal.
Oh, that hurts. That hurts. We've seen Thornton turn the ball over a couple of times this afternoon, just in his execution and his decision-making. There was Davey actually worried him out of that. He just saw Aaron Davey coming towards him. He released the ball, missed his target, went over the top of Carazzo's head. And Godfrey, who's tagged Carazzo pretty well since quarter time, in the right place.
Melbourne's way, Koutafidis. He's been terrific. Knocked it down. Simpson. Well, close to 15, but not 15. Sylvia towards half forward. Brown about 75 metres out. Wheatley can kick this. He's a long kick. This is a beauty. It's got to carry it home. Oh, you can't give him space there.
This was a magnificent kick from Wheatley. They just had the numbers. There were 4 on 2. And he is, well, during the NAB Cup series, the pre-season competition, he's been known as the 9-point specialist, Wheatley. And that's a great finish.
One of the few players who can run and then use the ball. Having said that, he was wide of the mark. It was intended for Newton. Coming through his Houlihan, moved it about 5 metres. Sylvia grabs it back towards full forward. Johnson was committed. Robertson deflects it down to Bate, and that's spinning. No forward today for Melbourne has worked harder.
No forward has worked harder, and they haven't had a better forward on the ground. That's his 3rd goal. He's done a mountain of work across half forward. As I've already mentioned, he's had 5 different opponents this afternoon. He's been a thorn in Carlton's side all afternoon. He's had 6 tackles, so he doesn't just work when he's presenting to the ball. He works hard when he doesn't have the ball. He's a fine player.
They're sitting on a kick and a half lead. Let's see what happens. They mightn't have to. Sylvia read it best. Dangerous game, this AFL, isn't it?
Seems to be.
It's a good mark.
Gee, they're not going to die wondering out there, some of these players. That is a fabulous mark. He's got a good pair of hands, Sylvia.
He missed one, didn't he, earlier today that was very gettable. There'd be some irony in all of this if Bate's easy miss and Sylvia's easy miss late in the game, because they've been so accurate. But they have kicked 3 points in a row. They were 17-7. This makes it hard for Carlton, and he has got it.
You mentioned before the fascination in what Mark Riley might do late in this game. They're in a similar situation with almost a similar amount of time on the clock last week against Essendon on Friday night, and they lost from this situation. So whether or not they send players behind the ball, it doesn't appear that they're going to do that.
That one missed Carazzo. Bate, little give was outstanding to Chris Johnson with a bounce, and then to full forward. Sylvia, good spot, well done at the back. Scotland, Simpson, and also McDonald. Robbo round the corner. Robbo kicks a 5th. He has a sense of occasion, Robbo, doesn't he?
Got a sense about being able to find the goals too, Bruce.
How many kicks has he had, Tim? He's had 6 kicks today for 5 goals.
Thornton's done a pretty good job on him, but
Dunn in the back pocket. And they've won 3 out of their last 5, the Demons. And you made that point last week, Dennis. Had they beat... Oh, good mark. Gee, Bizzle's having a terrific day.
His comeback has been good, Bruce.
Didn't play at all last season. Well, no 5, I should say. Didn't play at all, and he's been terrific this year. Good win. Good match. Good win, Melbourne. Captain applauds. Lots of stars out there today.